Was your stepfather a greengrocer? Your stepdad is a greengrocer?
Üvey baban manav çıkmak.
Did not do the hematologist every week. Week did not become a hematologist.
Haftası hematolog olmadı.
Does not leave. Does not leave.
Ayrılmıyor.
I can exclude. I can exclude.
Hariç tutabilirim.
You should be a waitress now. You should be a waitress now.
Hemen garsonluk yapmalısın.
After 2 hours should not train. After 2 hours should not train.
2 saat sonra antrenman yapmamalıdır.
He wouldn't complain. He wouldn't complain.
Şikayet etmezdi.
Do you move? Do you move?
Sen taşı.
Was our uncle a cop? Our uncle's police bodyguard?
Amcamız polis koruması.
It would be right away. It will be right away.
Hemen olacak.
Was his friend a paramedic? His friend is the Ministry of Health prison?
Arkadaşı Sağlık Bakanlığı hapishanesi.
They are locked. They are locked.
Onlar kilit.
Didn't he say? Didn't he say?
Söylemedi mi?
His stepmother was a shop assistant. His stepmother was a shop assistant.
Üvey annesi tezgahtardı.
He did not act as an announcer for 2 weeks. He didn't spike for 2 weeks.
2 hafta boyunca smaçörlük yapmadı.
Would it include? Does it include?
Dahil eder mi?
You shouldn't do engineering every year. You have to do engineering every year.
Her yıl mühendislik yapmalısınız.
Does he understand after 2 nights? Does he understand after 2 nights?
2 gece sonra anlıyor mu?
Could he sell? Gene to sell.
Satabilecekken.
Shouldn't he be a daily manager? Shouldn't he be a daily manager?
Günlük yönetici olması gerekmiyor mu?
Go. Go.
Git.
Our half-brother is the air traffic controller. Our half-brother is the air traffic controller.
Üvey kardeşimiz hava trafik kontrolörü.
Weren't we lawyers 2 minutes ago? Didn't the lawyer spread 2 minutes ago?
2 dakika önce avukat yayılmamış mı?
I can't go to the grocery store at sunset. I can't go to the grocery store at sunset.
Gün batımında bakkal yapamam.
Was your half-sister a researcher? Your half-sister's investigator?
Üvey kardeşin araştırmacısı.
Should go to the psychiatrist at dawn. Should go to the psychiatrist at dawn.
Şafakta psikiyatriste gitmeli.
He does not create. He does not create.
O yaratmaz.
We will not improve on a weekly basis. We will not improve on a weekly basis.
Haftalık olarak gelişmeyeceğiz.
Don't we check? Don't you check?
Kontrol etmiyor musunuz?
Are we building now? Being built now?
Şimdi inşa ediliyor.
Could not add. Could not add.
Ekleyemedi.
Can't we order? Can't we order?
Emir veremez miyiz?
Will I match? I seem to fit.
Yakıştıracak gibiyim.
May not take pictures occasionally. May not take pictures occasionally.
Ara sıra resim yapmayabilir.
His children were dockers. The boys were dockers.
Çocuklar liman işçisiydi.
He may not confess. He may not confess.
İtiraf etmeyebilir.
Did we dress up last year? Did you dress up last year?
Geçen yıl giyinir miydiniz?
I didn't become an operator a week ago. I didn't become an operator a week ago.
Bir hafta önce operatör olmadım.
His nephews were contractors. His nephews were contractors.
Yeğenleri müteahhitti.
Should I be an inspector at noon? Should I be an inspector at noon?
Öğle vakti müfettiş olmalı mıyım?
Was her brother a florist? Sibling florist cafe?
Kardeşi çiçekçi kafesi.
You take note. You don't buy.
Sen al değil.
His neighbor is a lawyer. His neighbor is a lawyer.
Komşusu avukattır.
Can't they normally do science? It would seem that science observes.
Görünüşe göre bilim gözlemler mi?
Brother-in-law jury. Brother-in-law jury.
Kayınbiraderi jürisi.
They should not be announced. They should not be announced.
İlan etmemelidirler.
His stepson was a monk. His stepson was a monk.
Üvey oğlu keşişti.
Your grandparents are waiters. Your grandparents are waiters.
Büyükanne ve büyükbaban garson.
Didn't it break? Didn't it break?
Kırmadı mı?
You lock. You lock.
Sen kilitle.
Were my cousins actors? When my cousins are actors.
Kuzenlerim oyuncularken.
He thanked. He thanked.
Teşekkür etti.
We weren't close for 5 weekends before. It wasn't close to 5 weekends before.
Daha önce 5 hafta sonu yakın değildi.
Doesn't it normally diversify? Normally not diversified?
Normalde çeşitlendirilmiyor mu?
Should it break? Should it break?
Kırmalı mı?
Weren't you the manager right away? Isn't he the manager right away?
Hemen müdür değil mi?
Should not go now. Must go now.
Hemen gitmeli.
Won't touch after 5 seconds? Will it be untouchable after 5 seconds?
5 saniye sonra dokunulmayacak mı?
Were their uncles senators? Were their uncles senators?
Amcaları senatör müydü?
Could I not go forward? Can't you move forward even if you can't progress?
İlerleyemeseniz de ilerleyemez misiniz?
We'll communicate in 2 seconds. We'll communicate in 2 seconds.
2 saniye sonra haberleşiriz.
Should I be an afternoon financier? Should I be an afternoon financier?
Öğleden sonra finansör olmalı mıyım?
It cannot evolve after 2 seconds. It cannot evolve after 2 seconds.
2 saniye sonra gelişemez.
His brother-in-law is a factory worker. His brother-in-law is a factory worker.
Kayınbiraderi fabrika işçisidir.
Couldn't he have been a professor before? Can't be a professor before?
Daha önce profesör olamaz.
Is her stepdad a gardener? Is her stepdad a gardener?
Üvey babası bahçıvan mı?
I should not return. I should not return.
Dönmemeliyim.
Are their grandchildren announcers? Are his grandchildren spikers?
Torunları smaçör mü?
Will he share? Will he share?
Paylaşacak mı?
Am I not a daily blogger? Am I not a daily blogger?
Günlük blog yazarı değil miyim?
Are their relatives managers? Are their relatives managers?
Akrabaları yönetici mi?
You may not confess every day. You may not be able to confess every day.
Her gün itiraf edemeyebilirsin.
Was his half-brother a gymnast? Her half-brother gymnast release?
Üvey kardeşi jimnastikçi yayın.
Shall we continue in the twilight? Will we continue in the twilight?
Alacakaranlıkta devam edeceğiz.
Could not give weekly. Could not give weekly.
Haftalık veremezdi.
Don't you row at night? Don't you row at night?
Geceleri kürek çekmez misin?
Are their grandchildren watchmen? Are their grandchildren watchmen?
Torunları bekçi mi?
Wouldn't it connect? Won't it connect?
Bağlanmaz mı?
Will they contact? Will they go out of contact?
İletişimden gidecekler mi?
Could not be organized weekly. Could not be organized weekly.
Haftalık organize olamıyordu.
We destroy every day. We destroy every day.
Her gün yok ediyoruz.
Can you quote from 2 months ago? Can you quote from 2 months ago?
2 ay öncesinden alıntı yapabilir misiniz?
Your relatives are the vice president. Your relatives are the vice president.
Akrabalarınız başkan yardımcısı.
Are my cousins stockbrokers? Are my cousins stockbrokers?
Kuzenlerim borsacı mı?
I will behave. I will behave.
Davranacağım.
Can't you be a fireman then? Can't you be a fireman then?
O zaman itfaiyeci olamaz mısın?
Is our stepdaughter a preacher? Is our stepdaughter a preacher?
Üvey kızımız vaiz mi?
At dawn, I was not an insurer. It wasn't my insurer at dawn.
Şafakta sigortacım değildi.
Won't you prove it every year? Can't you prove it every year?
Her yıl kanıtlayamayacak mısın?
Our grandfather was a homeowner. Our grandfather was a homeowner.
Dedemiz ev sahibiydi.
May not be a stylist right away. May not be a stylist right away.
Hemen stilist olmayabilir.
Our half-brother was an actor. Our half-brother was an actor.
Üvey kardeşimiz oyuncusuydu.
It was like, you are.
Oluyorsunuz.
You can watch it at noon. You can watch it at noon.
Öğle saatlerinde izleyebilir.
Our granddaughter was the nanny. Our granddaughter was the nanny.
Torunumuz dadıydı.
We have to be receptionists often. We must be welcoming often.
Sık sık karşılamacı olmalıyız.
Was her niece an actress? Nephew cast?
Yeğeni oyuncu kadrosu.
You can carry. You are carrying.
Taşımaksın.
My stepson was an athlete. Was an athlete.
Üvey sporcuydu.
Were his parents overseers? Private security guards?
Özel güvenlik görevlileri.
His half-sisters were caregivers. She was a stepdaughter.
Üvey kız bakıcısıydı.
Was his half-brother an inspector? Her half-brother inspector broadcast?
Üvey kardeşi müfettiş yayın.
Won't I be retiring soon? Won't I be retiring soon?
Yakında emekli olmayacak mıyım?
Could he sell? Gene to sell.
Satabilecekken.
Are their cousins janitors? Are their cousins janitors?
Kuzenleri kapıcı mı?
Don't they cook? Don't they cook?
Yemek yapmıyorlar mı?
Your family was a stockbroker. The family was a stockbroker.
Aile borsacıydı.
Wouldn't it reduce 10 years? Can't you finish your anniversary?
Yıl dönümünü tamamlamaz mısınız?
Don't I juggle every year? Don't I juggle every year?
Her yıl hokkabazlık yapmıyor muyum?
Your cousins are baristas. Your cousins are baristas.
Kuzenleriniz barista.
Will I be a doctor at night? Will I be a doctor at night?
Geceleri doktor olacak mıyım?
Shouldn't they be suppressed now? Shouldn't they be suppressed now?
Şimdi bastırmaları gerekmez mi?
Your mother is a shepherd. Mother shepherd.
Anne çoban.
Can you appear? Can you appear?
Görünebilir misin?
Should I include it sometimes? Can I include it sometimes?
Bazen dahil edebilir miyim?
Shouldn't he be a banker before? Shouldn't he be a banker before?
Daha önce bankacı olması gerekmiyor mu?
Usually named. Should usually be named.
Genellikle adlandırılmalıdır.
Shouldn't you be paired after a day? Shouldn't it be a day later?
Bir gün sonra olması gerekmez mi?
You couldn't confirm 3 nights ago. You couldn't confirm 3 nights ago.
3 gece önce onaylayamadınız.
Can't train after 5 days? Am I in charge of training after 5 days?
5 gün sonra antrenman sorumlusu muyum?
Was her sister a scavenger? Was her sister a scavenger?
Ablası çöpçü müydü?
Conserve. Conserve.
Hizmet edebilir.
It wouldn't last year. It wouldn't last year.
Geçen yıl kaldırmazdı.
Not mentioned? Don't you understand?
Anlanmıyor mu?
I rarely listen. I'm eavesdropping.
Kulak misafiriyim.
Must block. Must block.
Engellemesi gerekir.
Can go to bed after a month. Can go to bed after a month.
Bir ay sonra yatabilir.
Is her aunt the babysitter? Is her aunt the babysitter?
Teyzesi bebek bakıcısı mı?
Need to get up in the afternoon? Need to get up in the afternoon?
Öğleden sonra kalkması mı gerekiyor?
Should not invade. Should not be occupied.
İşgal edilmemelidir.
You should be a waitress now. You should be a waitress now.
Hemen garsonluk yapmalısın.
Can't they assume? Can't they assume?
Varsayamazlar mı?
Then we can't fly. Then we can't fly.
O zaman uçamayız.
Can't visit often? Can't visit often?
Sık sık ziyaret edemez mi?
He did not act as an announcer for 2 weeks. He didn't spike for 2 weeks.
2 hafta boyunca smaçörlük yapmadı.
It can be stored after 3 days. It can be stored after 3 days.
3 gün sonra saklanabilir.
Have I read? Have I read?
Okundum mu?
You dance often. You dance often.
Sık sık dans ediyorsun.
Will he not object then? Shall I not object then?
O zaman itiraz etmeyeceğim mi?
Can't he suppress? Can't he suppress?
Bastıramaz mı?
Will you invite? Will you invite?
Davet eder misin?
Should I return now? Should I return now?
Şimdi dönmeli miyim?
Was my mother-in-law a blacksmith? My mother-in-law blacksmith circular?
Kayınvalidem demirci genelgesi.
Is our neighbor a worker? Is our neighbor a worker?
Komşumuz işçi mi?
Will not be selected every week. Will not be desired every week.
Her hafta arzulanmayacak.
We never consultant? We never advisor?
Biz danışmanı asla.
Can he arrest every day? Can I arrest every day?
Her gün tutuklayabilir miyim?
Couldn't he be a poet then? Couldn't he be a poet then?
O zaman şair olamaz mı?
Your sister is a craftsman. Your sister is a craftsman.
Kız kardeşin zanaatkar.
Was her sister a scavenger? Was her sister a scavenger?
Ablası çöpçü müydü?
Wasn't I a bricklayer in 5 seconds before? Doesn't spread 5 before masonry?
Daha önce 5'i duvarcı değil yayıyor mu?
Didn't he replace? Was it replaced?
Yerine koymak mıydı?
Must be a ballerina every day. Must be a ballerina every day.
Her gün balerin olmalı.
We can publish in one afternoon. We can publish after one birth.
Bir doğumdan sonra yayınlayabiliriz.
Were his colleagues landscape architects? Colleagues landscape architect?
Meslektaşları peyzaj mimarı.
They shouldn't be chauffeurs for 2 weeks. They shouldn't be chauffeurs for 2 weeks.
2 hafta şoförlük yapmamalılar.
Nanny after 3 days? Nanny after 3 days?
3 gün sonra dağdı mı?
They will not teach. They will not teach.
Öğretmeyecekler.
They'll be out soon. Close out.
Yakın dışlar.
May not be a psychiatrist often. Can often be a psychiatrist.
Sık sık psikiyatrist olabilir.
Will you trust before? Will you trust before?
Daha önce güvenecek misin?
Wasn't it a check? International not check.
Çek değil uluslararası.
Shouldn't he hold? Should he hold?
Tutmalı mı?
Can't fly? Can't fly?
Uçamaz mı?
4 p.m. not actuary. Not actuarial after 4 births.
4 doğumdan sonra aktüer değil.
Your cousins are forester. Your cousins are forester.
Kuzenleriniz ormancı.
We were able to become governor 4 centuries ago. We were able to be valid 4 centuries ago.
4 asır önce geçerli olabildik.
Is his stepbrother an athlete? Is his stepbrother an athlete?
Üvey kardeşi sporcu mu?
You will breastfeed once a month. You will order once a month.
Ayda bir emir vereceksin.
You will be born in a weekend. You will be born in a weekend.
Bir hafta sonu sonra doğacaksın.
Did not explain. Did not explain.
Açıklamadı.
Did you analyze? Did you analyze?
Analiz ettin mi?
Need to wait now? Need to wait now?
Hemen beklemeniz mi gerekiyor?
Did it develop at noon? Did it develop at noon?
Öğlen mi gelişti?
After 3 nights, we wouldn't be defending. After 3 nights, we wouldn't be defending.
3 gece sonra savunma yapmazdık.
Then we can't fly. Then we can't fly.
O zaman uçamayız.
Does he want it now? Does she want it now?
Şimdi mu istiyor?
After 5 years we have to share. After 5 years we have to share.
5 yıl sonra paylaşmalıyız.
Generally not lobbying. Lobbying should generally not be done.
Genellikle lobicilik yapılmamalıdır.
Can they normally be sculptors? Visual sculptors?
Görsel heykeltıraşlar mı?
Had not been created before. Had not been created before.
Daha önce yaratılmamıştı.
Your wife was a physicist. She was a pregnant physicist.
Hamile fizikçiydi.
Can it reflect? Can it be reflected?
Yansıtılabilir mi?
Then one can decide at midnight. Then one can decide at midnight.
Daha sonra bir gece yarısı karar verebilir.
Had been created. Had been created.
Yaratılmıştı.
Would he do a bi-weekly athlete? Does an athlete do it every 2 weeks?
2 haftada bir atlet yapar mı?
He wouldn't have choreographed right away. He wouldn't have choreographed right away.
Hemen koreograf yapmazdı.
Was not suspicious. It wasn't suspicious.
Şüpheli değildi.
Isn't she cold? Aren't you cold?
Üşümüyor musun?
Is their father a banker? Is their father a banker?
Babaları bankacı mı?
Does not appear new. Do you wash?
Yıkamak mı?
Was going to set it up last year. Was going to set it up last year.
Geçen yıl ayarlayacaktı.
You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. He hasn't been a driver for 2 weeks.
2 haftadır şoför değildi.
Would he carry? To carry?
Taşımak.
Was your daughter a publisher? Is your daughter a publisher?
Kızınız yayıncı mı?
Your neighbor is the trainer. Your neighbor is the trainer.
Komşunuz eğitmen.
Should not catch. Should catch up.
Yakalamalıdır.
Was he just an assistant lawyer? Is he urgently assisting a lawyer?
Acilen avukat yardımcılığı yapıyor.
Don't we hate every year? Don't you hate every year?
Her yıl nefret etmiyor musun?